Hi. Before we start, just a few things for me to double check. I will start to share my screen. Uh, Hope you can see it, right? Okay, so I just got one note that everything is okay, so we can start. So, hello everyone, greetings from Lithuania. Unfortunately, I cannot see how many of you are joining my session, but hopefully there are enough of you to so that I can feel comfortable that I'm not alone. Today I'm going to talk about untold stories from hands-on experience of 4 years in RPA. So what it really means, so it's not what it's written by book about RPA, but actually what I have experienced myself. So we'll share my tips and tricks, what I would advise you to do or what I would advise you not to do. Let's begin. First of all, I will myself a little bit so you can understand what the speaker is all about. Okay, Google Chrome just crashed, so let me come back once again. I will wait for note that everything is okay. Sorry for inconvenience. Technical issues is part of me when I need to speak about technologies. Not sure what has happened here, but a few moments for me to double check if I'm back on track. Hopefully it's all okay now again. So I was talking about me, so let's move on. So sorry again for inconveniences. I just even didn't touch my screen and it's crashed. So let's move on. So currently my position is head of process automation unit. I'm working in ESO company for about almost 3 years now. In total, I have experience of 4.5 years in RPA. Before I was working in international company. Now I'm working in state-owned company. So I will talk a little bit more about it because this also matters in terms of how we are regulated and stuff like that. So I have experience of using two different vendors. Before I was using Blue Prism, now we are using UiPath. So that's also kind of cool in terms of sharing my experience because I use them both. Okay, one more time. Sorry, please be patient. I will text for tech guys what's happening. Okay, back on track once again. In case something happens again, I will try to switch browsers. Regarding my experience again, so I have IT related background as well as in technology, starting from how to encourage women to go to technology sector. I had experience in teaching kids IT, so I'm surrounded by technologies a lot, so I'm really interested in them and I'm looking for a lot of information. So that's why I kind of feel that I want to share what I saw and experienced myself and what my colleagues have went through. So let's move on until everything is okay and not crashing. So a little bit about my company. So ESA is based in Lithuania. Europe is a state-owned company which distributes and gas. So I mean that's Not sure what's happening, guys. Sorry very much, but somehow Google Chrome just sometimes put me out of this screen, so I need to get back again. Hopefully you don't feel much inconveniences. I just need to remember my last sentence. So only one part was bad for me. So yeah, that's how we have electricity. We serve a lot of customers through the country. It's around 2 million, so a lot. We belong to European Distribution System Operators Network, and yeah, but the environment itself is really regulatory. There are a lot of constant and policy changes. So it's not that easy. A lot of processes changes a lot, and for any kind of investment, we need to go to procurement procedure. So that's also what shapes our businesses and RPA a lot as well. So about my team, a few words here. So I have 4 developers and 1 RPA controller, full house just from like two years ago, and we have managed to save around 64 FTs now. So for you to judge, is it a lot or is it not? In total, we have already automated about around 100 processes. So you can count how. Again, I was kicked out. At least I am very efficient and coming back. Uh, Sorry. I don't know actually what is happening, but well, live streaming has its drawbacks. So just for you to know, I'm testing for organizers if there are any chances for me to do something to to avoid this inconvenience. So yeah, and a lot of wide range of tools have been mastered by us. So we're a pick at the bottom how many apps we are using to provide the best experience for our customers, our colleagues. And now I have a few questions for you. I will post them in chat function, chat section. I just want to understand how many of you do have RPA in their company, and what our experience. There will be 2 questions for you. Okay. So what I'm interested in here, so do you have RPA? Are you experienced in that journey so that I can adjust my presentation a little bit? Okay, some of you have experience of less than 1 year. Okay. How many? Oh, there are few big fishes here. Okay, so experience is different. Okay, so I will not waste more time here. So there are some beginners, some advanced guys. So I will hopefully will provide some advices for each of you. So back to the basics. So about the content. So there will be 7 stories from my side, those untold stories in terms of vision, organization, governance, pipeline, delivery methodology, service model, people, and technology. And because of technical issues before, so I will try to move quicker where possible so that I will be able to tell everything I want for you. So, talking about vision. Yeah, everything a little bit is slowly for me, but I hope I will get back to one slide before. Okay, so vision. Once we started RPA, when I joined ESO, there was nothing regarding it. So from very beginning, we decided not only to be like RPA department unit, but to be process automation unit, so that we could wider our scope. I mean, we were focusing not only on automating by RPA, but also using macros, scripts, and stuff like that. And it really helped us to be efficient, how to say, because sometimes macro is enough. I mean, when you are able to create it, you don't need to waste time by creating robots instead, for example. And that's how we saved a lot of time, and I will say a lot of money with that approach of being process automation unit, not only RPA. I'm back on track again. Sorry. I mean, sorry will be my word of this session. Let's continue. So yeah, in terms of wider scope, not only using RP. What also has paid off for us is to have KPIs not only for us, how many robots to program or how many FTs to save, but also by implementing KPIs for business line as well. So we could have more incentives to cooperate with us, and that there will be approach that those robots are not only for Justina, how to say, but for them as well. So from very beginning, we were thinking about, okay, we need to have business line on board. We need to have strong relationships here. So KPIs for them also help to streamline this process and make it easier. In terms of why RPA is created and how it's solved, that it saves hours of manual work. So in our case, we understood that everybody loves manual job when we have fear of losing it. So from very beginning, we were talking about quality increase more than yeah, so we were talking more about quality increase instead of FT saved, so that there will not be such a resistance to RPA, because, well, if anybody is afraid to be losing job, they will not be cooperating a lot, and that's very important when you are trying to sell this in company, and in terms of you are just thinking of launching RPA. It's really important to get confidence in this technology. So I would advise to talk about quality increases, I don't know, hours saved for innovation, for more interesting tasks, but not for like FT saving. And also about talking about inefficiency in terms of vision, whether to first automate and only then optimize everything. So in our case, we skipped this part of optimizing before, because we really wanted to show the impact of RPA. So we started quickly just creating a lot of robots to show organization its real value. So we skipped that optimized part because we wanted to save time. But if you are only planning of launching RPA in your organization, my advice would be to optimize first, because you understand that in automation increases in efficiency. Yeah, so the process itself is inefficient. So by automating it, you only increase, spread the inefficiency to it. Yeah. So in our case, Untold stories that we wanted to go live very quickly. We selected processes which were easy to be automated, but we didn't look for those lean processes, how to say. It helped us to save time to show the effect, but in long-term perspective, you really need to think about what it's important for you, either to show the effect or to have like sustainable processes. So when optimization, waste elimination, it should come first. Second story is about organization. It's really important to evaluate maturity of your organization. How many how to say, what is your organization computer literacy? How many people understand technology? How we are good at it? Are we just beginners in using shortcuts, how to say, or we are super advanced? Because it will shape the way you start with RPA, creating a center of excellence. In our case, we selected federated model because we had IT function centralized, and we didn't have any RP guys on board, so I needed to hire everyone. So federated model was very, at that moment, the most suitable. But looking like not from our company perspective, in general, you need to understand for even how top level senior management is good at IT, how to say, how we understand it, because you will need where help to scale through organization. You will need where help to spread the message that robots are cool, automation is needed. So you really need to think that through. Maybe it would be easier for your organization to hire third-party consultancy team to have, for example, POC made in your company. So it depends. Just understand even how IT line is on board with technologies, because I had experience that when IT was a little bit resistant to robots. Well, everything should go through integration. What those robots are about, and stuff like that. So you need to understand the whole maturity of your organization in terms of technology implementation, scaling, and do we support it or not? Because if we are not, you will have a lot of problems later on. Story number 3, governance and pipeline. So here I want to mention my story when I started working in ESSA. So just one more. Sorry again, guys, for inconveniences. I promised last try to have this this browser working, and I will switch to different one, because I understand that it's not so convenient for you as for me as well. Just a few seconds for me to start another browser, so I will have backup plan. Just a moment, sorry guys. Okay, just let's move on with Chrome. Maybe it won't crash again. So once I joined ESSA, I needed to tell people what those robots are all about, that it's not metal boxes and it's not Terminators. So from very beginning, I started to run a lot of workshops for different departments to show them what those robots are about, how we are looking. So I posted a lot of videos and stuff like that. So it led to the result that I have gathered a lot of possible ideas for automation. And from very beginning, I had about 40 ideas to evaluate further on. So those workshops at very beginning like really paid off. Also, what else? I launched a lot of trainings for staff, because I understood that They are my primary source of providing new ideas. And as long as employees do not understand what processes are suitable for automation, I will not have them coming to me. So, and I selected this approach because I didn't want to go myself and look for processes. Until now, I think that once we are suggesting them, so once we are suggesting themselves those processes for automation, we are more interested in how it's going on. We have more motivation to work with us. So that approach of providing trainings, workshops, and giving a lot of material for each employee to understand about automation is perhaps my number one advice in case you want to save time and not be yourself looking for processes. And in my case, it also worked out because I was new in a company. I didn't work in energy sector before. So I didn't understand all those wires, like switches and stuff like that. So for me, it would be very hard to find the right process candidates. So I really invested in employees, them being the ones who comes to me and asking for robots. Also, don't forget to evaluate business case because, well, for example, chatbots sounds cool, but maybe the real problem is that you don't have explicit Q&A section, or maybe simple app would solve the problem. I mean, do not go for like, because it's trendy, or for example, robot is trendy, so let's create them. I would advise always evaluate what is the most efficient way to create this. Because with a robot, instead of macro, you will end up using more time for creating it, for maintaining it, and simple macro in Excel would solve the problem straight away. So this is also very important because I understand that technologies are cool and I really like them and I promote them. Look to the real problem and know your customer, because I don't know, maybe your customers won't be using chatbots. Yeah, so by creating it, by investing a lot of time, you will spend a lot of money and well, you will end up having only a few users. So it's really important to don't forget return on investment. And also, what I would suggest for the ones who are just thinking of starting with RPA, find run a POC, proof of concept with supporters. It would be easier for you to gain their trust in you, just because usually I know that a lot of companies advise to start POC with a lot of FT savings and show a real value very quick. From my perspective, I would advise you to better find supporters instead of huge processes, because with supporters for your team, it would be easier to work and to show the real value. With POC, you will walk through the whole processes, how to gain accesses, how to work with IT. So having supporters would be easier to go through that struggle at first. About story number 4, about delivery methodology. What we have chosen in our company is not to write documentations by ourselves. From very beginning, we said that it's business line which needs robots, who needs to write that documentation. Before, in my previous company, we were writing everything by ourselves. I mean, RPA developer where we were writing those documentations, and we were spending a lot of time just to get that document right. And only when we moved on to robot creation of robots. So in ESO, we are using different kind of approach. We are asking business line to write documentation. We are helping them to write it in the right manner, how to say, but it's really way better by having such approach, because we are very engaged. We always know what we have asked for. We don't forget what it's in the documentation, because we were writing it by themselves. Also, what from delivery point of view, we are creating my team is creating not all one robot at a time. So that, for example, there are questions with one robot, we move on to another one. So like multitasking, switch tasking. But because our business line sometimes needs a lot of time to think through about one or another question, so instead of having one process automated at one time, we have a few ones. And I mean, we managed by having this approach, we've managed to decrease time to market, and it's really paying us off because, well, we are able to create robots pretty quickly, and we don't waste time on writing documentation and stuff like that. Also, we are investing a lot of time in testing, creating minimal viable products as like in agile manner. And by testing, we are, I mean that we are showing for business how robots look like, what we are doing. So it's easier for them to understand whether we have, I don't know, forgotten something to add to the document. So like having business line on board with test phase, you can, well, actually solve a lot of problems, and instead of having robots not working afterwards in production, you correct a lot of mistakes while creating them. And that picture, let me Google for you. So I really encourage citizen developers because people come with small tasks, and I always encourage them, okay, have you used Microsoft Flows? Have you tried to Google and stuff like that? So I know that well, it decreases, how to say, our scope for automation, like small tasks. Yeah, but that's how we have time for bigger processes, I would say. So I really advise you to think about the employees you are having in your organization, and the ones who are able to work with IT or smart enough to find some information themselves. So advise them where to look for and what technology to use here. Microsoft Flow have like very nice flows, workflows already created, and some of the problems, small ones, can be those small breaks for me when I'm kicked off this live session. So once again, sorry by that, but I almost managed to continue from my live start. Yeah, so in terms of delivery methodology, that's it. Talking about story number 5, service model. So we understood that it's easier for people to blame robots if something is not wrong. So that's why I put that sentence. We can't blame that technology when we make mistakes. Yeah, so we can't, but actually, from my experience, it's easier for people to blame robots instead of saying that, oh, it was my fault. So what we have done here, we have created a lot of reports, dashboards for business line to be proactively informed by us if we see any unusual activity. I have RPA controller who is monitoring each robot, and well, in a perfect world, it would be business line who is responsible for its process and stuff like that. But usually, it's harder for them to spot everything. So we understood that we need to be the ones who shows with a finger, okay, guys, look, we see some unusual activity here. Could you double check whether processes have changed or IT system has changed? So we've put a lot of efforts here in making that visibility for business line. Coming and blaming that robots are not working right, and and instead you will be wasting your time explaining that, guys, there are no robots in this process and stuff like that. Also, what also has paid for us is to have a IT architects on board. So once we have process suitable for automation, we show it for IT architects, so that we can evaluate whether it's really the smartest thing to create robot, or maybe it's better to have integration, IT systems, scripts, and stuff like that. So by having IT like as your friend, you will have your life easier because, well, IT guys have a very important here. We can ban your accesses and stuff like that. So if you are friends with IT guys, it will pay you off. Story number 6, people. So here it's really important to understand that algorithms have parents. So I advise you to have code reviews, standard work, even in your team, how the way you work, the way you code. Also because with my vision to have process automation unit, not only RPA unit, I hired people with IT skills. I know that RPA is all like that you don't need to have programmers on board and stuff like that. Yeah, it's possible for sure. But for me, it really, I mean, for myself, I really understood that I need to have people with IT skills because it would be easier for me to whether to create app or script or anything like that. In terms of scaling to different kinds of technologies like machine learning, computer vision as well, I'm able to do that with my team because we have expertise in IT. And what else? For example, myself, I do not have any RPA analyst on board because the business line is writing documents themselves. So I and my team, we were only going to evaluate processes whether they are suitable for automation. So when you have IT skills, it's easy. It's just like pretty quickly to understand whether it's a process suitable for automation and stuff like that. So I know that RPA is not about programming, but if you find if you find stuff with IT skills, it will make your life easier, and it will be much easier to scale because you will be able to do that. And in terms of efficiency, if, for example, my team has knowledge how to create SharePoint form, so we are not creating robot, which would be like very small one, and you will need to take care of it. SharePoint form is like works on its own sometimes. And also you need to understand that by creating robots, yeah, you will need to train the staff to work with it. I mean, that team which will have that robot, we need to understand that it will be virtual colleague, virtual robot. So we need to also be trained how to work with it, how to, I don't know, even how to spot those reports and dashboards, how to understand if everything is right. So do not forget to train as much as you can because it will save you save time later on. And story number 7, so about technology. So as I showed in my one of the first slides, we are using different kinds of applications. We have wide toolkit starting from Visual Basic. So starting from Visual Studio to SharePoint, Microsoft Flows, you name it. And for dashboards, we are using Grafana and a lot of different tools. What it really helps is just to, also for my team motivation. We can be experts in different kinds of tools. We are we are able to use their knowledge, their experience, because we are not only creating robots, we are incorporating different kinds of technologies, even with robots. So if you need some, I don't know, technology like computer vision, so you use scripts to extract information and afterwards robot grabs it. So it really paid us off to have like wild toolkits. So I mean, we are able to solve a lot of business problems once we come to us. So we are like process automation unit. We just we can name it. Okay, this will be done by Microsoft Flow, or this will be done with robot using UiPath. And do not forget about like limitations, because although it's very cool with technology, RPA automation, but it has its drawbacks as well. So, for example, OCR, by getting text from printed scanned documents, where there are chance of false positive, how to say that robot, the technology will not get the text right, whether either the text is wrong or it was not like very bright and stuff like that. So invest your time in gaining people's trust in technology, because if we don't understand that sometimes it could happen, but not all the documents will be. So if we understand that not always all the documents will be checked correctly, it would be easier for them to understand that, okay, it's not that the robots are working badly. I mean, it's limitations. So what has helped us here? So we are implementing human in the loop functionality. Not sure about other vendors, but UiPath has such feature. So once there are a possibility that something will not be right with technology, we put a human in the loop so that it could double check. Okay, robot did like not like mistake, but it was not right here. Human corrected, and afterwards robot proceeds with right results. So this like being clear how technology works, and it's not silver bullet. Helped us to gain trust that okay, we need to understand how to get rid of possible mistakes, and do not say that it's 100% right all the time, or for example that success rate is 100%. No, you need to be clear that okay, it's 95% of success rate, but there is exist as well, so that we understand that once something bad happens, that I mean it's not that technology working right wrong. I mean it's the way it's working, and it has its limitations. So that's why we need people on board all the time. Okay, and I ended up with my presentation. I will look at the Q&A. Once again, very sorry for technical inconveniences. I hope that you managed to grab from those separate sentences what I really want. In case you have, I mean, doubts or want to double check something, you can always text me on LinkedIn. I will be glad to answer your questions. Okay. I have one question. How does robotization affect the companies now? In terms of COVID, having a robotization automation, it's easier because you have a lot of processes done by robots who don't go on vacation, who are not sick. And looking from broader perspective, we are like aging society, where a lot of shortage of workers in job market. So by having automation in the company, you can skip a lot of problems now, which will occur later on, because it's getting harder to find people who will be doing manual job, who will be like only copy and pasting things. So Generation Z, we are all different kind of people. We don't want to do something that it's not changing very much. So having this in mind, I would say that automation is shaping the way organizations work, and sometimes it's quicker, and you can serve your customers quicker with attend automation, for example, in call center. And I don't know, a lot of possible scenarios when you can have robots then doing work during night, so that once you have daytime, you already have a lot of things done. So it's even for your employees, some things are done quicker with automation. And for our company also, for example, because there are a lot of policy changes going on, so, and a lot of processes come and go. So we create one robot, we like laid it off afterwards, and it's easier to, for example, because when process is new, so instead of hiring people, you just put the robot on that process, so you don't need to spend money on hiring, onboarding, and stuff like that. How do you deal with situations when business users are not collaborating well? So as I mentioned before, we promoted KPIs so that even business line have KPIs. So for example, how many processes need to be automated in one or another department. So this helped a little bit, how to say. And also as well, we are really paying a lot of attention in teaching them what is all about. I spent a lot of time myself explaining why we need automation. And it's not that I need automation, what's going on in the market. So once we understand where resistance is, it's much smaller, because it's psychological thing. We are afraid of technologies because we don't understand it, and because we don't understand it, we think that we will be laid off. And for example, in terms of my company and my previous company, nobody was laid off because of automation. It's myth which needs to be busted, I would say, because well, if usually you save some time, because a lot of people have work even more hours when it's supposed to be when we're supposed to be working. So with RPA, with automation, you just give them a little bit more space during their daytime. But I would say that trainings, onboarding, telling about technology, and having them like together, like once you are creating technology, we will feel special, not left out. Try to get their opinion also. What do you think? How do you think? Not just say that I will be creating robot here and that's it. And also when we are coming because we are not searching for process to be automated, business lines come to me, so we have like freedom to say that, okay, if you don't want that robot for now, we see that you're not so engaged, we are not creating that kind of robot. And last question, do you implement periods of parallel process conduction while implementing RPA to ensure workflow in case of RPA troubles at the beginning? Not sure if I understood the question correctly. We don't forget about business continuity planning, that in case something is not wrong, that people can jump in. Yeah, so perhaps we run off the time. I'm not sure whether I'm still live, so we'll end up with this question. So if you are thinking about when the process is new and there are no people doing it, how to make sure that everything is smoothly. So I would say that the same with RPA or automation as any of our IT system. You need to understand what you will be doing. For example, IT system is down. So you need to think what you will be doing in case robot is down or stuff like that. You need to have those steps, what needs to be informed, how many time you could wait until robot is back up and working. And also if it's more about while you are creating robot and you have any kinds of problems. So it's always like people who are next to us helping to, for example, to end one or another case if robot fails while we are testing it. So yeah, I guess this is it. Last question was answered. Once again, guys, sorry for inconvenience, for technical issues. Hopefully, more or less you understood what I wanted to say for you. So have a good day. Have a nice conference for other speakers, and we'll keep in touch on LinkedIn in case you want to chat a little bit more with me.